One thing we ask everybody that sits in that chair is just, basic to lay it down for people that don't know. But, we ask, when it comes to Playfair, like, what have you done? What are your plans for this company? And what makes you different for the rest? And why do you think, I guess, you'll win in this space? Whatever that win means, win for your companies or win for yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I think with Playfair, I'm very much in a situation, I kind of have been since the beginning, where I'm running to catch up instead of executing executing something according like a plan that was formulated beforehand. Didn't really know what I was doing in the beginning. I was fortunate enough to have some capital available to me, but as we said, I didn't come from a traditional background of being an investor. I wasn't an ex-entrepreneur, and I didn't I didn't even work in the city. And I just was very lucky in landing on my feet by essentially being taken under the wing of Passion Capital, which is based at White Bear Yard in Clerkenwell.
VC?
It's a VC, but a very early stage, a seed VC, right? Which is quite very uniquely positioned as a VC. I can't really think of another VC that does such small investments in London, anyway. So I invested in a company called Judo, which turned out to be a really good company to invest in. That was my first investment, and I knew Damien, the founder, at university. That's kind of where we originally met. We reconnected when I came back from Africa, and he said, I've got this business I'm starting. He'd done 1 or 2 businesses before. At the same time, around the same time, I met Stefan Glenzer and Eileen Burbage and Robert DeGuerra at Passion Capital, and they said, look, so they invested in Judo as well.
Judo, what's it?
Judil.
Judil. Judil, yeah.
Yeah, Judil.
I've heard of this.
And so they said, look, you seem like a nice guy. Why don't you take a desk as an angel in residence at White Bear Yard? And, I couldn't have really landed on my feet any better, because I was basically sitting next to some very credible investors with a lot of experience that I trusted implicitly as well, and that I was able to kind of piggyback on shareholder agreements for my first few investments to really learn the ropes, right? Because it is being thrown in at the deep end, and it's essential to have that mentorship, right? I definitely think that it's not tax breaks and things like that make good professional investors. It's mentorship from from more experienced investors, just as with entrepreneurs, right? Sure. And so I moved. They said take a desk as an angel in residence and see what happens. I moved in. I said I was going to do maybe 7 or 8 investments.
This is going to be investing in your own capital?
Yes, it's all investing in my own capital.
Okay.
Created Playfair Capital around the same time.
Okay.
I said I was going to do maybe 7 or 8 investments, and then somehow 2 years passed, one thing led to another, and I ended up on, it was I think 21 or 22 investments in December, this last December. Okay. And all of a sudden I thought, whoa, this is becoming a bit of a beast. This is way too big to manage, and I need to...
What's your average investment?
Average investment size is about £120,000.
Okay.
I've gone as little as 30, as much as 300, but increasingly that's kind of more and more of the sweet spot, the 120, 150K range.
Which is bigger than
which is relative
here.
to, certainly for the UK in terms of seed capital, which is on the upper end of the scale of angel investment.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden, now that I had 21, 22 companies, I thought, wait, I have to take a break here, pause, and start thinking about developing Playfair Capital internally, because I don't have the capacity, or there's not enough hours in the day to be able to manage all of this.
That's a lot of companies.
It's a lot of companies. It's a lot of companies, right?
I mean, 10 is a lot of companies.
Yeah, right.
We had Simon Dixon here from DFJ, and he said each partner looks at 6 or...
exactly.
Yeah,
so you see my point in terms of, and so I hired. I had to really take stock and think, what are the verticals I'd like to add value with, and that I need most help with, and also that could help the portfolio companies as well. And I chose, and basically I hired a financial director who was an accountant. He used to work for Ernst & Young, and I hired a legal director who worked at White & Case as a lawyer. And so those two, I turned Playfair Capital into an LLP, so hired them as partners, and they kind of, surround yourself by people who are very good at doing what you have no idea about, right? And legals and accounting I was outsourcing, and I always found quite an inefficient process, and kind of, because personally, I always find that kind of accountants and lawyers only work as well as the language that you speak to them in. And if you're not a lawyer or an accountant, like you can't necessarily get a certain point across in the right language to extract the most value from that relationship. And so hiring those two, you know, all the T's were crossed and the I's were dotted in terms of all of our cap tables and systems and everything like that internally. Also, they were able to help all the portfolio companies kind of implement Zero and do all these things, you know, accounting platforms and things like that, which are very, you know, which are so much more useful to do early on rather than retrospectively, like later on when a round of funding comes along. And so Group Playfair Capital, so it became 3 people. Then thought, okay, you know, White Bear Yard served me very well, but it's time to kind of you know, flee the nest or whatever the expression is.
Spread your wings.
Spread your wings, and yeah, exactly. And so started looking at space, the co-working space to rent, and then out of the blue, this building kind of was brought to my attention, which it was sent as a tweet. It was as a tweet to Eileen from Passion Ads
all good
on Twitter.
things come from Twitter.
Yeah, on Twitter, right? Literally,
Did they IPO today,
you know,
too,
and
What's that?
They IPO today, I think.
Is it today?
I thought it was
Is it
today.
today?
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, so this dropped in my lap, and I, you know, talk about kind of an apple falling far from the tree. I walked all of 200 yards from White Bear Yard, so it couldn't have been much closer. Yeah. Saw this building, and it was for sale, but all of a sudden it kind of changed my thinking, and the area, Clerkenwell is a really good area. Farringdon Station's developing with Crossrail. Yeah. And so I ended up buying the building, and then in March, we spent about 8 weeks redeveloping it, and then opened late May with 170 desks. It's about 8,000 square feet over 4 floors. We have 2 floors of incubation space. 1 floor, it became the home of Techstars. So it's the kind of first foreign outpost for Techstars, which was a great anchor to have in the building in terms of having a lot of new kind of US investors and mentors coming through and things like that. And then actually the top floor, so you said Raj was on this show, on the top floor, we've collected together early stage capital that basically I've been syndicating with for the last few years anyway. So we have 5 or 6 angels and about 4 or 5 VCs. And it's all very kind of, it's an open plan environment. It's all very transparent. We share deal flow. We all have different skills, and we all, one person will know e-commerce, one person will know B2B SaaS, and being able to just tap into all that knowledge kind of informally is really invaluable. The beginning entrepreneurs were kind of shocked because they'd come through the lift to talk to one of us, and they go, "Oh, what are you all doing here? Because I'm talking to you next week, and to you, and to you, and to you, like in the next few weeks. But you're all here. I don't quite know what to do with this." But actually, now it's bringing better entrepreneurs because they can talk to 5 or 6 sources of capital at once. Then we, as the capital, can talk to each other at once. We don't have to have 5 conversations with each of you, traveling to each. Before, I was always going to kind of a respective angels members club to sit down and have a conversation, and then have the same conversation with another angel, and then the same conversation with another angel. And now we're all sitting together.
And that floor is are you the landlord of the building? Or when they walk onto that floor, are they walking onto Playfair, or are they walking onto
honestly,
number 1 seed and Playfair?
Yeah, no, it's everything. It's not like Playfair is in the background very much, right? Okay. It's definitely it's everyone's floor. It's number 1. It's number 1 seeds. It's EC1s. It's Hummingbird, Ballparks. UKTI has some desks there every once in a while. And then we have hot desks available for foreign angels and foreign funds when they come through London to have a desk and have a meeting room so they can kind of have a venue to meet people.
Sounds pretty cool. What do you think of this?
Yeah, I think it sounds fantastic.
Just need to go for your gut feeling, and it's exciting. It's scary also. So you just need to sort of load that rucksack and responsibility every day and just get on with it and try to make a difference. It's very, very different, obviously.
We've had companies like TransferWise in here and other ones that are trying to challenge the banks, and we talk about the innovator's dilemma. Yeah. And, by being in a banking company,